Hello Internet, my name is ZemosHD. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about PragerU. It's a double feature today. So we're going to be talking about two people who definitely aren't paid shills by big oil and coal companies to promote fossil fuels. Because that's the type of people Prager likes to invite on his program. You know, only the most intellectually honest people. I'm sorry. I can't even joke around like that. All right, let's just get into this.
What are two of the dirtiest words in the English language?
That glyphosate in Argentina is causing increases in cancer. You can drink a whole quart of it and it won't hurt you.
To drink some? We have some here.
I'd be happy to, actually, but not really. But
Not really?
I know it wouldn't hurt me.
If you say so, I have some glyphosate.
No, I'm not stupid.
Well, if you're concerned with global warming, as so many people are these days, the answer is obvious. The two words are carbon dioxide, or as it is known by its chemical symbol, CO2. One atom of carbon and two atoms of oxygen. If we pump much more of it into the atmosphere, the argument goes, we're going to alter the climate, catastrophically. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, CO2 emissions from fossil fuels, which constitute 85% of our energy use, must be reduced to zero by 2100. If we don't save ourselves from ourselves, we're toast. That's the claim.
Wait, you mean the facts, right? That's the facts. Those are facts that if we don't fix the climate, bad things will happen. For example, as CO2 levels rise in the atmosphere, it'll have negative effects on the animals and wildlife living in the ocean. That's just one negative effect of climate change.
Here's what's strange, though. All life is carbon-based, and the carbon for all that life originates from carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. All of the carbon in the fossil fuels we are burning for energy today was once in the atmosphere as carbon dioxide before it was consumed by plankton in the sea and plants on the land. Coal, oil, and natural gas are the remains of those plankton and plants that have been transformed by heat and pressure deep in the Earth's crust. In other words, fossil fuels are 100% organic and were produced with solar energy. Sounds positively green.
So, no. Carbon emissions aren't green. They're greenhouse gases, but they aren't green. And here's why. Pretty much the way we generate energy is by spinning motors. No, that's not a joke. We typically just use steam to do this by boiling water. Usually it matters what type of fuel you use. So for example, you'll use coal, or in other cases you'll use nuclear energy. Or you can go the green route and just use renewable sources of energy like hydroelectric dams, solar power, and windmill power. Of course, all of these things have their problems. For example, hydroelectric power, solar power, nuclear power all have their waste products, and wind power typically kills a lot of birds and bats. But these problems are much better than the CO2 emissions. So no, CO2 energy isn't green energy.
If there were no carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere, the Earth would be a dead planet, period. Talk about catastrophic climate change. Take away CO2 and you'd have it. And yet the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has deemed this essential ingredient for life a pollutant. But how can something that makes life possible be bad?
You know what else makes life possible? Water. Now, I don't imagine that you walk up to rivers and just take a syringe and inject water into your veins from the river now, do you? No, you probably don't do that because that would be incredibly idiotic. You already have enough water as long as you keep yourself, hydrated. You don't need extra water, especially dirty water.
Before I deal with that question, let's get clear on our terms. It has become common to refer to the emissions from burning fossil fuels for energy as carbon emissions. That is entirely misleading. Carbon dioxide is not carbon.
Wait, you just contradicted yourself. Are you serious? They can't even keep the narrative straight for 5 seconds. Oh my god.
Carbon dioxide is a colorless, odorless, tasteless gas which is an indispensable food for all living things.
Wait, we're not plants, my nigga. Are you serious? Does this guy not know that we're animals and that we need to eat and that we're not plants and we don't have photosynthesis? Oh my gosh, are you serious? Oh wait, oh that's my bad. I was just looking through my notes here. Oh no, he's just a lying shill grifter piece of garbage. Yeah, okay, let's continue.
Can you have too much of it? In theory, yes. That's what climate alarmists say is happening now. CO2 levels are getting too high. Are they right? Well, if we look at the big picture, we find something surprising. For most of the history of life on Earth, carbon dioxide has been present in the atmosphere at much higher levels than it is today. During the Cambrian explosion, when multicellular life first came on the scene, CO2 levels were as much as 10 times higher than they are today. From a big picture perspective, we're actually living in a low carbon dioxide era. The optimum level of CO2 for plant growth, for example, is 4 to 5 times what is currently found in our atmosphere. That's why greenhouse growers worldwide actually inject additional CO2 into their greenhouses. They want to promote plant growth. Likewise, higher CO2 levels in the global atmosphere will boost food and forest productivity. That will come in handy, since by mid-century, we will have to feed 8 to 10 billion people. In fact, we're already seeing the positive effects of increased carbon dioxide now. Satellite measurements have noted the greening of the Earth as crops and forests grow due to our higher levels of CO2. It turns out that carbon dioxide are not dirty words after all. We should celebrate CO2 as the giver of life that it is. I'm Patrick.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're done. What you just said was unfathomably stupid, but we're gonna address it in the next video we're covering, so let's go.
97% of climate scientists agree that climate change is real. How many times have you heard that statement? Probably hundreds. It may seem like a compelling and scientific argument against fossil fuels, but it's one of the most illogical, unscientific arguments you can make. To see how, let's use this form of argument for another controversial product, vaccines. An anti-vaccine person approaches you and says, 97% of doctors say that the side effects of vaccines are real. What would you say in response? You'd probably say, yeah, but the benefits far outweigh the side effects.
No, I would ask, where do you get evidence for something like that? Also, notice how he said side effects instead of, civilization-ending problem. But hey, let's keep watching this propaganda video.
By saying that 97% of doctors agree that vaccine side effects are real, without mentioning any of the benefits of vaccines, the anti-vaccine activist is trying to get you to look at the potential dangers of vaccines out of context. When fossil fuel opponents say 97% of climate scientists agree that climate change is real, they are doing the same. Yes, using fossil fuels for energy has a side effect, increasing the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. Okay, but what about the upside? In the case of fossil fuel, that upside is enormous. The cheap, plentiful, and reliable energy that makes modern life possible, and at a scale no other energy source can match. So how significant is the side effect? This raises another problem with the statement, 97% of climate scientists agree that climate change is real. It tells us nothing about the meaning or magnitude of climate change, whether it's a mild, manageable warming or a runaway, catastrophic warming. This is an example of the fallacy of equivocation, using the same term in different, contradictory ways.
Oh, You mean like what you're doing with your argument right now? Wow, that's PragerU for you. They don't even know when they're contradicting themselves.
If someone were to say 97% of doctors agree that vaccine side effects are real, what exact vaccine side effects do the doctors agree on? That a certain number of babies will get a rash? Or that large percentages will get full-blown autism? Precision is key, right? But fossil fuel opponents don't want you to know the precise magnitude of climate change. Because if you did, you wouldn't be scared of climate change, you would be scared of losing the benefits of fossil fuels.
Well, this is just like a flat out lie. Like, I'm someone who advocates against fossil energy, not like actively, but I'll speak out against it when I can, and we'll show you exactly why we shouldn't use fossil energy as much as we do.
For example, listen to how Secretary of State John Kerry manipulates the 97% of scientists line. 97% of climate scientists have confirmed that climate change is happening and that human activity is responsible, he said in a speech in Indonesia in 2014. Later, in the same speech, he claimed that scientists agree that the world as we know it will change, and it will change dramatically for the worse. 97% of climate scientists never said any such thing. So what did the 97% actually say? It turns out nothing remotely resembling catastrophic climate change. One of the main studies justifying 97% was done by John Cook, a climate communications fellow for the Global Change Institute in Australia. Here's his own summary of his survey. Cook et al. Found that over 97% of papers surveyed endorsed the view that the Earth is warming up, and human emissions of greenhouse gases are the main cause. Main cause means over 50%. But the vast majority of papers don't say that human beings are the main cause of recent warming. In fact, one analysis showed that less than 2% of papers actually said that. How did Cook get to 97% then? First, he added papers that explicitly said there was man-made warming, but didn't say how much. Then he added papers that didn't even say there was man-made warming, but he thought it was implied.
So of course I looked into this weird 1.6 meme, and of course while looking into it I found that it's actually been reaffirmed. The 97% consensus is real. This 1.6 meme is just fake news. So, not only did they find out that this man was wrong, not only did they find out that Cook's analysis was actually accurate, but they even found a higher consensus. Slightly higher, but a higher consensus nonetheless. This is what I would like to call a perfect shining moment. The fact that PragerU will just lie to the American public on an easily verifiable fact just completely shows their disregard for our capacity to learn and understand. This is why I call PragerU pure propaganda. Their messages require you. They assume flat out the gate that you won't even do the most basic research to fact check them. Wow, this is pathetic. So they're literally going to deny the 97% consensus based on one analysis that wasn't even peer-reviewed by a guy who isn't even a data analyst, nor is he a climate scientist. Top-notch, PragerU. Top-notch.
A scientific researcher has a sacred obligation to accurately report his findings. Cook and researchers like him have failed us.
No, scumbag pieces of shit who are paid to fucking lie about climate change are failing us. So people like you.
As have the politicians and media figures who have blindly repeated the 97% claim to support their anti-fossil fuel goals. How can we protect ourselves against this kind of manipulation? Whenever someone tells you that scientists agree on something, ask 2 questions. What exactly do they agree on? And how did they prove it? I'm Alex Epstein, author of The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels for Prager University.
So, what have we learned here today? Well, we've learned that being a lobbyist shill, or consultant for corporations, is really good grift. It allows you to be able to make a lot of money lying to innocent people who just want good, honest reporting of news and facts, It's really cool to just lie to people's faces. Whether it be lying about CO2 emissions or lying about, I don't know, the consensus on the matter. It doesn't really matter to PragerU, as long as they get their political narrative across. And isn't that what really matters? I mean, seriously, guys, PragerU is just such propaganda. Please, don't watch PragerU, for the love of God. Okay, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, go follow me on Twitter, join the Discord. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. See you guys later.